This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, bringing you an expanding library of education with even more ways to sharpen your trading skills. Access new online courses, insightful webcasts, articles, engaging videos, and more, all curated just for traders. Plus, guided learning paths with content designed to fit your unique interests. No sifting to find exactly what you need, so you can spend your time learning to trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.
All right. This ain't just a show. This is a platform. Veteran built, battle tested. Welcome to the MisFitNation. Yeah! In a room, built from boots on the ground, now we breaking the rules. 2 vets, 1 leader, painting the sound, turn scars into sermons, let them echo around. Artists with truth, musicians with fire, actors backstage chasing something higher. Entrepreneurs bleeding just to get ahead. If you fought for your dream, yeah, you are what you said. If they told you no, if you still came back, if you fell to your knees but you stayed on track, this is your voice, this is your flame. Say it loud, remember the name. No salvation, just elevation. We rise again. From the fight to the end. We are the Misfit Nation. No damn labels, no damn cages. If you're still breathing, you belong. Turn it up. This is our song. Yeah. This is our song. Yeah. Veterans standing with ghosts in the chest. First responders running in while the world second guess. Gold star names carved deep in the soul. Your story ain't over, we carry the whole. Coaches teaching mindset, breaking the chains, turning barely alive into owning the pain. Truth over polish, scars on display. If it's real, let it bleed. That's the misstep way. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels close. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels close. If it's heavy right now, and the dark feels close. It's Aubrey right now. We're the more than you know. Don't walk alone. Veterans press 1, bring it home. Don't trade forever for tonight. You're still needed in this fight. We're the Misfit Nation, built from scars and dedication. We rise again. From the fight to the end. We are the Misfit Nation. Every voice is fabrication. From the silence to the scream, we're strong. Welcome home, you belong. You belong. You belong. Oh wait, you. Oh wait, you belong.
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation, your Thursday after dinner edition. Whoo, what a week. We've seen it go from cold this weekend to near 90 today in Tennessee. Hopefully where you are, you had some normal non-bipolar weather and you're doing all right. First, before we start this show, let's give a big shout out to all our service members that are putting forth that effort overseas right now and putting at the tip of the spear while we can sit here and host this podcast and have a great guest tonight. So tonight, we welcome a young man who's a graduate of Auburn University, a university where my niece went and graduated and is now a doctor in Savannah, Georgia. He is from the great state of Alabama. He graduated in 2024 with a bachelor's degree in journalism. His free time, he enjoys listening to music, reading, writing, and being one of us, a podcaster. Tonight, we're going to talk about his journey, his mental health fight from the age of 13, 18, where he got spiked again, things that happened, and how he's evolved since then. So, without further ado, let's welcome Noah May to the Misfit Nation show. Welcome, Noah.
Thank you so much for having me, Rich. I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait to share my story with you guys.
Outstanding. It's great to have you here. I was starting to worry that we weren't going to connect again tonight. There's got in the last second, slid in on the under the timeline. Thanks for being here. And I just gave basically an elevator pitch speech about you there, Noah. Some feedback on your side too, by the way, if you can fix that with your microphone. Give some more about yourself, as far back as you want to go, to how we got here.
Well, a little bit about my story really kind of starts from when I was in 8th grade. I was 13 at the time, as you had kind of mentioned. That's kind of when my whole mental health story kind of began. I was, it was 2015, as a normal 13-year-old kid at the time, trying to just kind of live through life and was trying to really navigate life at that point. My grandmother had recently, at that point, had gotten diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia, and of course that kind of played a really, really bad thing on my end. My depression and anxiety really ticked up at that point, and I was also bullied by my classmates. They didn't really care too much about me. They didn't really respect me in a way. So they kind of bullied me, and I was dealing with some personal stuff at home. So everything kind of just toppled over onto one another, and I just really had a crackdown and had just a really bad breakdown.
I can understand that, especially sure you were close to your grandmother, because most Alabama families are really tight knit, and grandma is usually that matriarch that makes those Sunday dinners for you after church and tells you when you're right and wrong as you're growing up. Of course, I'm sure that really devastated you and your family, of course. And then you had to deal with it as a 13-year-old young man at that time, and deal with that. And then you hit 18, and the anxiety bubble hits you. How did you go through
it? Well, with the depression, being 13 at the time, I really had no clue and had no history with mental health at that point. We'd not really have been taught that. So when I first got diagnosed with depression, it was just a huge, complete 180 of like, oh, I'm not used to this. This is all new to me. The only person that really knew any close to what mental health was my mom. She was kind of the only one that had any kind of understanding of what mental health was, and she had dealt with depression and bipolar at the time as well. And she was the only one I could really go talk to and be like, hey, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm dealing with. And yeah, she was the only one I could really talk to. And then when I turned 18, of course, had a better understanding about mental health at that point. I had already taken some health classes and had already been learning a little bit more about what mental health was. So when I got the anxiety diagnosis, it was I knew kind of what the signs were that I was going through at the time. Still, it was just kind of a shock, because we didn't really know at the time what really had caused the anxiety to really ramp up and even come into play. So it was still kind of a surprise, but I had a general understanding and idea about how the depression was. And especially at that time, I knew more. And when I had the anxiety, I was a little bit more prepared.
I'm sure. And were you being seen by a doctor, or was it just kind of by going through doctor?
A lot of my mental health kind of came from my main primary physician. It was our family doctor. He's the one that kind of diagnosed me both with the depression and anxiety. I eventually did go to a therapist later on. I went to therapy for a little bit, and I also went to a psychiatrist too, to kind of get a better understanding about my mental health and what was going on. But I was diagnosed from both disorders, was diagnosed by my family doctor.
Family physician, PCM.
Mhm.
What town in Alabama are you from?
So I'm from a very small farm town called Center. It's about 40 minutes from Gadsden. It's in the northeast part of the state. I live right on the Alabama-Georgia border, so very much farmland, nothing to do out here. Play in the dirt. That's kind of where I was from. So we grew up on the lake, still live in the same home, and I had a swing set and a trampoline and a pool growing up. So I mean, we had some ways to keep me entertained in the summertime, but that's kind of where I grew up, was just kind of small farm town.
I know right where you are. I was stationed in Anniston for 2005 to 2008. I was stationed down there. I used to go to Gadsden all the time, and I used to go north up there. I've been to Georgia from there as well, up to Rome, Georgia, things like
Hmm.
that. So I know right where you are, and I mean it's beautiful country, but like you said, there's not much there besides farms, and the lake is there as well. So
Hmm.
it's pretty cool that you have that ability to grow up in a place like that. Then you go from there down to Auburn. How was that shock for you?
It was different, especially going from just size and whatnot. When you live out in the country, you have a neighbor that lives maybe right next door, and another neighbor that lives about a mile and a half down the road, and then it kind of teeters back across the road. Well, when I went to college, it was just like roommates, having to live with two people you didn't know, people above you and below you, beside you, and, and so it was just a huge shock. I never really did the whole moving out when I first turned 18. Luckily, and you probably know, I went to Gadsden State, and of course, Gadsden State. The center campus was 15 minutes from my house, so there was really no point in moving out of home at that time. I just stayed put. So when I first went down there, I did surprisingly well. I was a little bit more surprised at how well I was able to cope and kind of shift the change down there. Um, but I also had my mental health kind of taking over and was actually had it under control. I was on some really good medication at the time. We finally figured out some tools and techniques of what to do. So I think if I wasn't on the medicine, I probably would have had a little bit more of a difficult time going down there. Um, I would have been really nervous going down there at first, but for the kind of the mindset I was in, I did pretty well due to this. Even the same person that went down there would a few months ago prior to that would have been shocked that I would have been able to go down there and not have any kind of mental health setbacks at all. So, um, it was fun. I miss living down there, but it just got too expensive. It was just a little too high for me. I was like, I just can't make a living down there, so I had to move back home. But I really enjoyed my time down there.
It's good that you were able to get down there, yell War Eagle each weekend, and watch them play. Hopefully, they beat Alabama at least once or twice while you were there, and you had a good time. It's Weiss Lake that's up there by Center, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
my two godsons, their dad has a house on that lake there. And there'll be jet ski to, I think it's like Jack and Jake's restaurant right there on the lake. Pretty cool.
Hmm.
Out the jet
Yeah, I
ski
know exactly where you're talking about.
just brought back memories when you were saying, and when you said the lake in Center, I said, that's Weiss Lake. You're my third Alabama guest in the last 2 weeks. So I had two from one from Addison, one from Talladega, and now you from here from Center. So I'm bracketing the state a little bit there. So
Yeah.
get some southern Alabama people on here soon. I'll wrap up the whole state.
Hmm.
As you went through your journey at Auburn, what made you choose journalism? First of all, is that something you always wanted to do, or just something that you fell into?
Um, well, when I was in high school, my our school was real strict on trying to get you to do a major. So then that way, when it came to sign up for college, it was an easy process for them, and so they didn't have to try to cope you into getting it. It'd just be less work for them to do. Um, so of course, I had no clue what I wanted to do at the time. I watched a lot of talk shows at the time on TV and then on YouTube all the time. I would always see clips, and I just remember one day was just like, "That's I want to do that. That's what I want to do." Well, I really didn't have a general idea of like what degree do you go in? Do you go into like broadcasting? Do you go into like film and TV, like actors? Or there was just so many questions. And one of the recurring things that I saw was journalism. And I thought, okay. So I signed up with journalism and I just ran with it. I stayed in that same major all throughout college, never changed it at all. Once it kind of got to my third or fourth year, it was one of those things of like, well, if I hate it, that was on me. There's no going back now. I'm stuck with the degree. So if I hate it, by the time I graduate, that's just going to be a decision on my behalf. I'm not going to switch it and go longer than I need to. I'm already having to go longer in school already. So I was like, you know what? We'll just have to deal with the consequences that follow after graduation and we'll just go from there. But yeah, I never really changed majors, but I had it since 2019, I think was when I first uh, got it. And then I signed up later in that same year and then started college immediately after that. So it was the same major I had. I never really did have any like, oh, I kind of wish I went in that major or not, but um, it all actually has worked out in the end. Obviously, it's not. This is not the route that I thought I was going to go down,
Right.
but it's kind of led to kind of the present day me now.
I know now you have the 3 podcasts, right? And are you doing journalism as a paid gig besides your 3 podcasts, or is that your full stream now?
Well, this has been the most interesting part of journalism too. It's been like, do you consider this journalism? Do you not consider it journalism? And I think some people could have differing opinions, but for the most part, I've seen people that are like, well, you do a lot of your skills. Like the main skill that I was taught in all my classes was interviews and setting up production stuff. So I mean, it was stuff that I had learned in class and in school. It was just for these classes. So I mean, at the end of the day, I was like, I am still doing journalism and putting some of those techniques into this kind of realms. I thought, no, I consider it journalism. I do this full time. Um, I didn't really want to do podcasting full time, if I'm being completely honest. This was just more like a hobby of like, post when you can, if it takes off, it does. If it doesn't, well, it'll just be a good experience. I thought about trying to get my experience first at a news station or a radio station, even a newspaper, but I just wasn't qualified enough at the time. So I just kind of took it upon myself to do podcasting full time. And I still did kind of some side hustle jobs at that point. I worked at a trampoline park for about a week before I quit and started doing podcasting more full time. And then I did more like delivery services like DoorDash and um, that kind of realm. So I did some other things on the side, but I didn't start doing full podcasting full time until about July or August, I would say.
And are you up in back in center, or you stay down there at all?
I unfortunately had to move back home, so I'm back in Timbuktu. I've bored with nothing to do. I really much enjoyed. I didn't really get to enjoy Auburn as much when I was in class as much as I did after I graduated. I stayed down there. I graduated in December of 2024, and then from about January to about July, I would say June or July, I lived down there. And I enjoyed living down there after graduation. I was able to wake up every day and, be able to go to the store and not have to rush back home for the bus or rush back to finish an assignment. I will say when people say your life is so different after school, that's 100% truth. I was like, oh my Lord, the first time since 2007, I've not had to think about an assignment. I was like, I thought, oh Lord, this is new territory for me. So, um, I enjoyed Auburn more post graduation than during school while I was down there. So I feel like I missed out a lot on a lot of things, but it just got so expensive. I had to come back home.
I think for most college experiences, it's kind of like that. When you're there, it's because you've got to do it. You have to get your studies in, and that's your job, really, school. And then while you're
Mm.
there, like you're at Auburn, you see those tailgates while you're there as a student. You see all the alumni come back, and they're tailgating at every game. And they bring the party down there to Auburn, and pretty much every SEC school. You see how much alumni come back, and they have so much more fun as alumni than they did
Mm.
as, because now, like you just said, they are free. They're already in that life trajectory, and there's no thing saying, "Hey, I have to have a paper due on Sunday morning. I can't get go out and just have a great time on Saturday and just be foggy on Sunday. I can just do what I can do here and then go to work Monday and have a good time and talk about the game.
Yeah, because when you're a college student, a lot of people think that the college student is your job, and essentially it kind of is. You know, people can argue about that, but everyone says I'm a full-time student. I'm getting support from my family at that point, and essentially you are. You know, you're going to class every day. You're doing multiple assignments that are due in the same day, so I I focus, you know, some kids go down there and they do kind of they act like they are free from school. You know, they go down there, they realize, oh, I finally can be able to do whatever I want and not have parents down my neck telling me what to do every second. You know, they're not going to be spying on me 24/7. So I think a lot of kids get that sense of first freedom once they move out because they're able to do whatever they want. They don't have to go by any guidelines anymore. And they become kind of, some turn rowdy and kind of, um words are escaping me, but they become very much a rowdy group, and they kind of become um rambunctious at the time, and I think they just forget about school, and then when it comes to school assignments, they're slowly slacking. So there's some that go down there just to party, and they go down there just for the partying environment. But there's a lot of students out there that do go down there for the education, the academics. Oh, I really want to study and do good and make a really good career out of myself, and others just want to go down there to party and have a good time. So
Probably half and half in that realm. You have to look into that next step in life. And college is supposed to be a stepping stone. Get you to that next.
mhm.
At least that's what you're told growing up. That's the thing that it could be the awesome stepping stone, or it could just be a place where you sit for 4 or 5 years and really don't come out doing anything that you studied in school. But you learned how to research, or you learned how to take into stuff so you can do something else. And that's where most people, they get tied around the axle. Like you said, I never changed from journalism. There's people that probably changed their major every year while you were there. Someone that you knew probably changed their major often and still did not do any of the four things that they set out to do. You're doing something else now.
Yeah, there was even students I met down there that could be my third or fourth year in there, and they're about the same room as me. And you could ask them, "What are you wanting to do with your life?" And they're like, "I just don't know." And I thought, well, you better be making a decision now because you are about to graduate. So there's even students that you meet down there still that are just going to school and they're just taking classes and they still don't have a major, and you're just like, your time's cutting thin there. I'm just like,
Burn. Some people, I guess, have that money to burn, or they are on a great scholarship and they just ride it out.
yeah, that or they come from a really rich family because Auburn's not cheap at all.
Not at all. I watched as my niece went there. So I seen it when she went there, and I graduated probably 3 4 years before you started. So I knew it was expensive then. I know it went up after that.
Hmm.
You have to do something to pay for all those coaches they have. You guys heard that money. What are you going to do when if one of your three podcasts takes off? Are you going to take the other two and put them to the side, or are you going to keep trying to pull all three of them and monetize one and use the other two just for fun?
This has been such an interesting just thing to really watch and see. Um, when I first started podcasting, I kind of started with two, and it was the book one and Lethal Venom. That was kind of those were the two that I started out first out the gate. And you really didn't, I really had no really prepared schedule about what was going to happen, how everything was going to play out. I thought it was just going to still be do podcasting on the side where I get like a journalism career job in person. And when that didn't happen, I thought, well, I'll just start posting podcast episodes. And I tried to do a mixture of the two, but something in me, I really gravitated towards the Lethal Venom podcast really close. I thought, the general theme and idea of it, I had a lot more ideas than reading at the time because I had actually put reading to the side. So I thought, well, if I'm not reading, then I don't have a podcast for that. So I thought, so I put the book one on hold just for like brief. And this show took off. I was surprised and shocked of how well this show blew up as quickly as it did. I thought this would be something that would take years and years on time. I never expected this show to be it where it is now. So I was like, whoa, this was like a shocker to me. And so during that time, I also put the music podcast in there as well. And when this show kind of started taking the main spotlight and wanted to be like the center of attention, I put the other two on hold for a year. I just posted like one update episode on the book one just last week, or probably even this week, if I remember. It was probably earlier this week or last week. I was like, here's an update about what's happened. And so I'm trying to bring those two back. But this show just loves taking the spotlight. It's like having three kids and one just takes the whole spotlight and the other two feel left out. So, which I'm not complaining. I love this podcast so much. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I have two other passions that, you want to try to get those up and going too, but it just right now they're just being put on pause. And this one's just kind of has taken the main lead.
Tell us a little bit about the Lethal Venom podcast. Why the name, and what do you talk about?
The origin story of Lethal Venom stemmed from when I was at Auburn. There was a podcasting class that came to campus. There was a professor that came to one of our classes and was like, I'm starting a podcasting class here at Auburn. If you're interested in signing up for the class, go to your advisor and sign up for next year. And I was like, bad. I thought, I want to be first in line. I want to be first dibs for this class. If I have to mow people down, I will mow people down. I thought this was like a sign from God. I was like, oh, this is a sign. You've always wanted to do podcasts at that point. My interest in podcasting was very much still there. And I thought, this is a sign. Was able to get in there, and one of the assignments in the class was a kind of an elevator pitch. It was a pitch an idea to the class of a podcast idea. And so I went in with the book one, but then Lethal Venom kind of started to trigger. And, I thought, this would be a good podcast and platform for me to finally speak my truth. For years and years, my classmates basically saw me as a ghost. A lot of people just did not want to hear what I had to say. And I thought, this is a great opportunity to bring that to life. So I pitched that idea. And of course, people had different mixed opinions about it. And it was one of those moments where it was like, you're just going to do it no matter what. You really don't want to listen to other people's opinions about it. You're just going to do it. And so I was like, I won't take it and just throw it out. Even if it's good or bad, I'm just going to take it and throw it out. And so I ran with it for about the next year, was planning the name, and the kind of the scenario or like the summary and overall theme for the podcast. And I wanted it to be kind of an honest conversation, honest podcast, where it was, at the time, I thought it was just going to be a solo podcast, but then it's eventually has turned into doing guests of like different backgrounds come on and speak their truth. Maybe they've had a story where they can come on here and share their story and be open and honest about something. They don't have to feel like they have to be censored all the time. They can come on here and speak their truth, and they can just go roll with the punches and not have to feel like you're going to get made fun of. So that's kind of how it was. I talk about some hard topics on here, and I talk about goofy ones too. It's just kind of a variety show. I've had people come on that have been in the military and they suffer from multitude of mental health issues. I've had sexual assault patients or people that have come on the podcast to share their victims with sexual assault. And then I've had people come on and talk about weed. It's just like, and it's very much a sporadic show. I mean, I could have a porn star come on, and then the next person's like a mother of two that's had crippling depression. And it's just like such a huge bipolar thing, but I love it because it just shows the randomness and variety of like different angles of people that come on here. and they can say what they want to say, and they don't have to feel like they have to censor themselves. I mean, I've had some RNC-17 rated episodes, and then there have been G-rated episodes too. It's just a love, and the name stems from the truth, how the truth hurts. You know, sometimes when you say the truth, people, it hurts when they hear it, and how venom's usually lethal to humans, that's how the truth can be. So it stems off the how the truth hurts quote.
I like it. I mean, we have a plethora of guests on this show, and our second show, the Tuesday Crew, which I just produced that one, so I can sit back, relax, enjoy the show on that one, and just watch how they grow. And they've grown to years now. They're doing awesome. But having a multitude of guests also helps you to gain more knowledge in interviewing, how to approach each person differently, and be genuine yourself as you're interviewing. I've been interviewed on a lot of shows, and you can tell the difference between someone that is a genuine listener and listens to you and then asks a question based on it, or someone that just has robotic questions. And sometimes when I'm on those robotic question shows, I kind of fade out a little bit and just give the bare minimum of what I can do. Because you can feel it right away that they really don't care, just trying to get numbers of shows. And those I really don't like. I like when something's genuine, like you're saying, have that genuine talk about your truth, have that out there. Have you ever had anyone come on your show that was just kind of so shy they wouldn't talk, but they wanted to, and you had to kind of push them?
Good question. I'm trying to think. I've interviewed so many, they all kind of start blending in. I don't have a guest to my knowledge, and you know, this could be something that comes up in the future. But so far, everyone has been pretty much raw and open. You know, I set the record straight. You know, I said, if I go too far on questions, let me know. Tell me. Because I don't want to push you, and like, if a question's too offensive, if I say something offensive, let me know. Don't, you know, just don't act like that it doesn't offend you, and just don't tell me. I said, if I go too far, tell me so I can like hold off and to kind of be like, okay, you got to back up a little bit. So I set some guidelines, and you know, I always say if I go too far, just let me know. Um, so far, everyone that's kind of have has come on has not really stemmed and held back. They really have just been open and honest. You know, I've had some guests though that kind of come on here and kind of ramble a little bit. They kind of ramble like I had a guest come on once that talked for about an hour straight, and I barely got a question in. And so those are the types of episodes that, you know, yeah, they kind of just answer all your questions. And so by the time you're done, you're just like, um, how's the weather? So you're just like, so you just gotta, you have to sit there and be like, what's the question? Because all the questions he kind of just, some questions they would like answer it one after the other. You know, I sometimes do that on profiles, but sometimes I kind of ask one question, I might ask the last question and kind of bounce between. I've had guests that just literally go through, and it's like they're looking at the questions themselves, and they'll just kind of slowly merge into that question, answer it, and then ask the next question, and they kind of take over, and I'm just sitting there like, uh-huh, uh-huh. And so you're just, and then you're trying to like cut in the time too, because some people go over an hour. You know, it's not, and used to it wasn't a huge time, but I did a lot of my Zoom interviews while on that free plan. And, you know, at first I didn't know that you had a 40-minute limit. And if you went over your 40 minutes, it just cut you off. Well, I've had that happen about twice at the very beginning. And so those were the episodes I hated the most, because it was just, I was so stressed for the whole time until I got that unlimited thing. I think you could probably see a change in probably the voice and kind of the flow of the earlier interviews that I did, because I was just like, oh, I gotta do 40 minutes, I gotta do 40 minutes. And it takes like additional 5 minutes to kind of explain everything, then it takes a few minutes at the end to kind of wrap things up. So, I mean, you get like good 20-30 minutes of show and like 10 or 15 minutes of fill-in stuff. So, yeah.
I think I read on there 420 something episodes or something like that on your website. Um, in those, have you had any mental health experts come on and share their story with your audience that you can bounce off with? or her?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of my guests end up being mental health patients. And, I didn't really want mental health to be kind of the overall theme for the podcast. It's how it's turned out to be. But, I think it's a good platform for people to come on here and share their story and share some good advice. Um, Lord, I could probably name on 10 hands countless people that I've had on the show that have had some kind of mental health aspect to their story. One that really stands out to me, and she was one of my, like, when I look back, it's probably the most raw episode I've even done. Even all the episodes I've recorded since then, she's been number one of like rawness and everything. Her name was Adrienne Caldwell. She came on my show very kind of early on, but she was fairly new to the whole podmatch scene. And she came on there, and even in her description box, it was just like a huge like paragraph of like just like viewer discretion things, and it was like sexual assault, trauma, violence, and I was just like, whoa. And when she's telling this story, you just felt I don't really get choked up from human emotions as much. Like if I see something sad from humans, I don't really have that emotion side. But yet a dog breaks a toenail, I'm like gone. Have to have a big box of tissues. I felt I felt teary eyed during that whole interview. It triggered something in me, and I thought, whoa, this is shocking to me. I didn't fully cry, but she got me teary eyed, and I told her, I said, you're the first person that I think's ever done that, ever has done that, even just in general conversation. So she was a really heartfelt episode, one of my favorite all-time favorites I've ever recorded. Um, Interview wise, she's probably number one because it was just so well. She had such a good story, and that wasn't even her full story. There was so much more. We just didn't have time, and it was just so much. So she was one, and then I've had countless others that have had like similar situations as me, and they've given me tips and tricks, and I've actually, even when I tell them my hacks, they're like, oh, I've never heard that before. So it's like they learn something, I learned something from them. So those are always the type of interviews I love doing the most.
That's outstanding. While you're talking, we had 3 questions come in from the audience. We'll start going with them. Let's get some home runs here. At Really Dave, how did podcasting become a tool for your own healing? Thanks, Really.
Well, Dave, I that's a really good question. I have to be honest. I kind of find it more therapeutic than going to therapy itself. It was like free therapy, and I was like, "Ooh, now don't take that as like don't go to therapy, go to therapy." But for me personally, it was just a way for me to heal myself. A lot of the earlier episodes that I did were my solo episodes that focused mainly on like my mental health journey. I blasted my whole classmates on the podcast. Granted, I didn't say their names are not heard on the show, but I verbally said it out loud. The whole episode's like there's like so many censors in there. But after I did those kind of episodes, a lot of anger that I had built up for years and years was just gone, and I just felt so at ease. It was just like a huge weight had been gone, and I thought, and at that point, I'd been to therapy for about 2 or 3 years. This was the most therapeutic thing I've ever done out of all 3 of those years of doing mixture of personal and even group therapy too. I just felt so relieved. And they're out there, and it's out there, it's like a thing of I don't have to think about getting it off my chest anymore. It's out there. I don't have to repeat it. If they want to hear it, they can just go listen to it. So I found it as like if I'm having a bad day or need to have like vent on here, I've vent. A lot of my earlier episodes, that's just all it was me venting about job hunting, job experiences, classmates, school experience. Like all those episodes at the very beginning were just rant, 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 rant. It was just like, okay, we need to spice this up a little bit. So, um, that's how I've used it as a really good healing tool. It's been a really beneficial thing.
Outstanding. Dave, I hope that answers your question. I think the answer was awesome. I love what you did. It was awesome. Next question. Anak Frank Tuish. What helped you keep going when you felt like giving up? Thank you for that question and action.
I've got to say, I think just for my personal thing or personal thing with my mom was a really good motivator for me, and she helped me stay grounded. If I didn't have her, I'd be in a coffin right now or cremated somewhere, some in some way, shape, or form. I'd be not here. My my mom was number one support system and still is to this day. Another thing, music really soothed me. That's really what kept me grounded. It kept me so calm was just family and music, and even YouTube. YouTube too was also a way for me to kind of escape from the reality that I was living and go into like a kind of a in my way of coping, like a false reality where it's like it's still kind of real life, but it's just like you just kind of disassociate with life and you just focus on this video and you just imagine that this is a separate universe. That's what's kept me grounded and kept me going. And I never really fully stopped believing in myself. I just was always a hard setter of what pushing through and was never really a give up type person. So those are the main things that have helped me keep going.
Outstanding. I know that you said music, and I remember reading your profile and seeing that you had a pretty diverse group of genres you love music. You have country, pop, R&B, and rap. But being an Alabama boy, I figured rock would be in there somewhere. It's not in there, but I guess that's down on the end of the farm.
I shockingly did not get into the rock thing. As many times as I went emo, rock was just never. I never went into that genre. I was shocked that I didn't really become emo. I think if I said I was emo, people would have been like, "No, you're not." It'll be like, okay. So I never really fully. I listened to some rock, but it's not something I got into. And you would think for someone that went through depression, anxiety, that would be number one. It wasn't for
I've been,
surprisingly.
I've been on your list. All right, third question. You're doing good right now. This is from Missy View. What would you say to someone who feels ashamed? What would you say to someone who feels ashamed? Thank
I would say that there's nothing to be ashamed of. For years, I thought that I was always shameful of like opening up. At the end of the day, so many people are going through something similar. Like if you have depression, 99.9% chance, there's that high chance that your best friend is going through it as well. They're just doing a really good job of at hiding it and not bringing it up to people. Everyone, there's someone in your life that you know personally that is going through it. They are just doing a really good job hiding it. You don't need to be ashamed of it. It's better to really say what you're going through than to keep it bottled up, because bottling it up more, it'll just eat you alive, it'll tear you down, and it's just not a good, it just will not end well for anyone. So I highly suggest that you um stay grounded and stay sane in that point, and that it's okay to open up and don't let it eat you alive. Don't be ashamed of it, because I feel like everyone has some kind of mental health disorder. If you don't, then go maybe apply for the lottery. But everyone I know suffers in some way, shape, or form with some kind of mental health disorder. It's not to be ashamed of. Kind of be proud of it.
Wear it like a badge of honor. They have the better things with it become stronger because. Next question is from Host of the Tuesday crew. All your podcasts live or recorded? Live. How do you or your guests do questions?
Well, the thing with me for live, I have a potty mouth. You do not want me on a live stream. Don't. I have to be kind of PG in a way on live streams, because anyone can. They're all pre-recorded. I'm very much a hard editor when it comes to, because I am always like focused on my editing. Like the classmate episode that I did, I spent 3 days editing that because I thought I don't want a single name to come through, and I don't want no lawsuit coming my way. I don't want a single lawsuit coming my way. So I spent 3 days on that episode editing because I was like, I want it to be perfect, and I tended to have this tendency to say and a lot on the podcast, and it gets so annoying when you're editing and you're just like, oh my God, say it one more time. If I played a drinking game with myself, I'd be past gone. My stomach would have to be pumped. That's how badly of how drunk I probably would have been. I would have needed to have my stomach pumped. So, um, I personally do not go for the live recordings just for that kind of aspect, and I think that kind of makes people be like a little bit like censored a little bit because I can easily go in there and bleep something out if they said something. They're like, "Ooh, I wasn't supposed to say that," or I can edit that out. If it's live, it's out there. There's really no turning back after that. You're just like, well, once you say it, it's out there. So someone will record that. So I don't want that kind of stress for them. So I think recorded's going to be my best suit. Who knows? I might do live in the future. I don't know. We'll just see.
We did recorded for the first 2 years, 2.5 years, maybe almost 3. We went to video in our second year, and then we slowly went into live. Once we went live, I said, I'm not doing both. I'm not doing live and recorded. So once you go live, whatever you say on here, it's the gospel at that point. And I'm not going to change it. You can't change what you said. And I've had plenty of guests come on and say, and curse, and then say, can I say that? Just did. I'm not ABC or CBS. I don't have a 5-second delay where I can press mute on you after you. I can't do that. So whatever you
Right.
say is out here in the webosphere at that point. So just have at it.
Yeah.
Next question. They're coming in now. They want you.
Oh, wow.
Oxen Anvil. How can friends and family better support someone battling depression or anxiety? Thank you, Oxen.
Oh, that's a good question. Let them talk. Let them talk. Don't start be like, say someone comes to you and you say, well, how are you feeling? And then they say, well, I'm doing okay. See, today, how, and then interrupt them. Don't do that because you're taking away their time to be vulnerable with you at that moment. And I've had this happen too in the past where I've tried opening up and people just constantly overrun and talk over me and they just never want to listen to what I have to say. When I kind of broke down to my mom when I was in 8th grade, she made me talk for 2 hours, did not interrupt. She sat here and she just heard everything that I was saying. And I was honest with what I had going on, and she did not interrupt one time. If you have a friend that can listen to you 4 hours to talk, keep them because they're good. Those are good friends, ride or die. And you want to have a good support system. Don't tell it to someone that's kind of the gossip of the town, and next thing you know, the whole city knows what you're going through, and people are reaching out to you. Um, so it kind of works both ways. For people that are wanting to talk to family and friends, be kind of decisive of who you pick because everyone go to someone you trust, and then once that person goes to once you find that person, if they don't give you the chance and opportunity to talk and like say anything, just don't continue the conversation because those are the types of people that are just going to not listen to what you're saying, and it's just going to go like in here, and it's just like a gridlock. It's not going to go fully in. So you want to have it, so it has to work both ways. Find people that you trust, and if they don't let you talk, then those are not the people you need to talk to.
It's great advice. And I had that feeling when I talk to people, and I can see them right there. They're just listening to speak, not listening to hear, and then thinking of how to one up me, one up whatever I say instead of just absorbing what I'm saying. Maybe ask a question how they can do something better, or maybe ask a question how I got there, and one up what you say. And those people sometimes just go punch them, or you just shut down when they talk after that. Hey, all right, good talk, brother. Talk to you later. Drive on. Drive through. Last question from the audience. I'll take you. At 50, fly above trees. I think is fly above trees. What does using your voice really mean to you today?
Huh. I would say personally, it would be just being a conversation starter, I guess, of like getting that conversation flowing and start getting it to take off. I think it's really important to bring these kind of conversations up. I didn't really, there's been so many good opportunities that have come to me from doing this podcast that I think if I would have stayed quiet, I think would not have um, led to where I am today. So to me, using my voice today kind of fully means breaking and getting out of that shell and just be like, you know what, this is what I'm going to say. People can have an opinion on it. We're just going to fly by the seat of your pants by it. And then uh, if, if you get hate for it, that's on them. If you get support and love from it, that's great too. So um, I would say just being a firm believer in what I believe in, and just being an open voice for, and being a voice for those people that have been scared to open up and share something that they haven't had the opportunity to, but are glad that someone else can relate to someone.
Outstanding. Great answer. And I think that'll help everyone. We have our audience is a lot of military veterans, a lot of first responders, and then a lot of in betweens. Very diverse audience, along with our diverse guests. Everything we do on here is a rucksack filled to bag and how to be better humans and how to be successful in life. I think you just put in a couple more tools. So thank you for that, Noah.
Thank you. And that's a good thing with the audience too. My audience is diverse too. I was looking at my analytics, and I have about pretty much predominantly male, and it kind of stems. I have more females that listen, more men that listen, and then recently it was kind of like had a very certain group that was like unspecified, and I thought, is a tree listening to me? Oh, did someone make an account as like a dog account and they're listening? So I was like, okay, so maybe I have a tree outside listening. I don't know. It was just like, but I have such a diverse audience. Like I have like people that are 60 plus listening to my show, and I'm like, hopefully I'm not going to give them a heart attack by my mouth, because some of them might have been raised like old Southern pride and Southern drawl, and they very much were pure people growing up, and they hear my show and it's like, oh, I think their coffin or I just cause their cause of death was listening to me. And then I have 18-year-olds that listen that are like, oh, this is new information for me. So I love the audience that I have, but yeah, you get a really good diverse group of people when they come on your podcast. So
It helps grow both ways, helps them grow as audience members, and helps your guests grow too. You getting these
mm,
questions from the audience also helps you to think things through more and see that
mm,
they're actually listening to you, and they want to know more than I'm asking, and more than what you're actually sharing up front, and they're trying to hit that bat and that ball. I'm using bat and ball legs to open the baseball season. Uh, they're doing everything they can to get more information out of you because they want to hear from you. Also, here we are towards the end here. Last two questions to every guest are as follows. The first one: what's the best way to get in contact with Noah? To have you on their shows, because I have a lot of podcast hosts that are in my audience, or maybe just to talk to you about your challenges as 13 years old, 18 years old, and now how you deal with it. Maybe things they didn't want to ask you.
so the best way to really get in contact with me would be through my website, noahspodcast.com. I'll have, there you go, right there. You had it pulled up. So there, basically all the information that I have for the website's on there. So feel free to just go on there and find all that information on there. I have contact forms as well. They're all kind of separated and kind of categorized by each podcast. So if you just kind of fool around on there, just go to the general contact. That's the best way to get in contact with me on there. Socials as well is on there, so all that information's on there. And I would say now how I kind of stem and kind of go about life now is I'm doing so much better mentally now than I was like this time last year. I was very like my depression was creeping in. So dealing with it now after everything I've learned and gone through, I know what to look out for. I know what to do now when I have really bad spikes in life with my mental health. So I know how to better prepare myself. But yeah, currently I'm doing really, really well.
That's outstanding, and that's what we want to hear, that you're doing well. Even if you told us right now I'm not doing well, you know what we would do here at the Misfit Nation is we keep you on the line. Even if after we shut off that live button, we talk to you. We want you here tomorrow. We want you here the next day. We want you to be with us and share your light, not just stay in that fog that you get into the dark and keep you. That's something that Misfit Nation, I'm sure you would do that on your show if someone said.
Definitely would.
All right, now this last question though. This one's the hard one. It's 3 things Misfit Nation, our audience, start doing tomorrow to be better people.
Oh, my brain's gonna really show its slowness now. I would say be true to yourself. Be proud of who you are. And don't take every criticism to heart. You know, it's speak your mind and don't let people try to drag you down.
Outstanding. See, it wasn't hard. Your brain fog didn't come in there. You got that right there.
It was a rare moment.
You got it. You did good. You did good. Noah, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. If you ever need anything in the future from the Misfit Nation or the Tuesday crew, just let us know.
Definitely will. Thank you so much for having me.
Outstanding. Misfit Nation, as I just said to Noah about the darkness, you're feeling that darkness cave in on you. You feel those walls caving in. Do not give in to the enemy. Do not make a permanent solution to a problem. Think about who loves you. Think about the people in your lives. Think about those 3 names on that 1-inch piece of paper that's in your wallet. Call those 3 people. Reach out to them. They want to hear from you. Well, we want to hear from you. Dial 988. Take the options or follow the prompts that suit you best. And if that doesn't work, contact us here at the Misfit Nation. Info at themisfitnation.com, even at themisfitnation.com, or Jake at themisfitnation.com. One of us will get in contact with you, keep you on the line, while one of the other ones of us gets someone local to you, come to your door, and make sure you're still with us and get the help now so that you will be with us tomorrow. The day tomorrow is 100% better than with you than one without you. Until next time, Misfit Nation, humble, stay hungry. Know what to do now.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.